Welcome to this week's edition of ASKGMBN. It's the time that we try and answer all of our viewers' questions about mountain biking. And not only that, we give you some tips, and also we do a correct me if I'm wrong section. As ever, you can leave your comments down below, or you can use the hashtag AskGMBN. The very first question of this week comes from Brian Lappin, and he's asking 160mm enduro rig or 140mm trail bike. Well, that's actually a pretty tough one. It really depends where you live, what you're going to be riding, and if you have any plans to go for a bike park on holiday. The 160mm bike is obviously very capable and versatile, but so is a 140mm bike, and also really depends on your skill level. So I probably can't really help you too much, but I'd go out, maybe think about getting to a demo day, trying both of them and seeing which you prefer. The next one comes from Kendrick Wellerman, and he says, how to bunny hop with a high saddle. Well, this is actually a pretty good question, and we do get asked a lot. It's very similar on how to bunny hop, but with that weight slightly further forward over the front with the higher saddle and also probably a longer stem, you do have to think about trying to get your weight back a little bit more, and it is hard, but you will get there. Practice makes perfect, and I'm going to throw you straight to Neil's video on how to bunny hop a hardtail.
So the technique for a bunny hop, the start is exactly the same as a full suspension bike. You're looking for that L shape with your hips. So stand nice and tall, pump down, and then to the back of the bike in one smooth motion.
Sam G is asking about tyre rim and width and what you can get away with. He's also asking how this will affect cornering. And this is quite an interesting one. It's quite controversial as well. As in the market, we have seen manufacturers bringing out wider rims, and also the tyre sizes tend to be staying the same. So with that wider rim, what you're actually going to get is a bigger volume tyre, which is going to give you a bigger cushion. So it's going to be a bit more compliant over the bumps. In terms of cornering though, you're still going to get lots of grip, and you can probably run your tyres a little bit softer as well, but you're not going to have that sort of rounded edge. So in really sort of off camber or flat turns, you might not get the same grip. But again, it's maybe something that GMBN should do a video on. We should maybe do a test analysis to see what we think is better. Actually, that's a good call. Watch this space and maybe it'll come in the future. Abby Senior, well, she's asking about how interchangeable shocks are. She's wanting to upgrade her shock or just replace it, and she's asking what does she need to do in terms of measuring sizes. Well, Abby, you need to look into the bush sizing, also measure the shock stroke and the length. You should be able to find that there are plenty out there. If you don't have that much money, then you could go online and look for a second-hand one. Joe Enright is saying he's got £200. Now that's quite a lot of money, and he wants to upgrade his bike. He's got just a 650B hardtail at the moment, and he's wondering what the best options are. I'd maybe suggest going for a shorter stem. That's going to help you with your manualing, and also some wider handlebars. That's going to give you a little bit more control. And if you've got any money left over, well, you could look at getting some more aggressive tyres. They're going to dig in a little bit better, and I'm going to throw you to a video on how wide should your handlebars be.
So doing a press up, this is my natural position, hands slightly wide on my shoulders, feels really nice and strong, nice and stable as well. If I try and go out too wide, okay, it's gonna be much harder work, definitely pretty tiring, but also going back to the middle, feels pretty strong now. I could do a press up, again, that's quite hard work compared to my comfortable position, but also obviously I'm less stable. So trying to find that comfortable position, hands slightly wide on shoulders, nice and strong.
Roy Coheen is asking if he drank 6 litres of water in a 5-hour event without taking any isotonic or salts, is that okay? Well, Roy, it's not okay, but it's not necessarily bad. Next time in the last 2 hours, you could think about taking an electrolyte tablet, popping in your water bottle, and you actually find that you get around a little bit easier and it'll maximise your performance. The next is from Nathan Wells, and he's got a cross-country bike at the moment, and he's thinking of upgrading his stem. He's got a 90mm, it's quite long, but it's very good for climbing, and he wants to go to maybe a 50mm, but that's too short. So I could suggest you going right somewhere in the middle, 70 or even 65mm, and you'll find that you'll get up anything, but you also descend well. And I'm going to throw you straight to a video on stem length explained.
Things you need to consider when choosing the correct stem length are the style of terrain that you ride regularly, the style of frame you have, be it cross-country, trail, downhill, whatever. And also consider the geometry of your bike, i.e. how long your top tube is, but also consider your height and your reach.
Neil Afik, he's saying how to recover mentally and physically after an accident or surgery, avoiding further injuries to now fragile body parts. This is a hard one to answer, but definitely take your time, build up that confidence. You could actually check out our training playlist. There's a few ideas in there, and one video that I could actually throw to is top 5 dynamic exercises, and they'll just help you build up kind of a little bit like yoga or Pilates. So moving on from mobilizing the spine, we're going to go onto the shoulder joint. Now this is going to be a scap push-up, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get into a tall plank. Now you can do it with your palms on the ground, but I actually prefer and find it a little bit easier to get into the position if you clench your fist and put it on the mat. So get your clenched fist right underneath your shoulder, plank position, nice and strong, keep those hips up, and you're just going to break at the shoulder joint. Feel it right there, you can hold it for a couple of seconds and push back up. It's time for the quick fire round. Boom, 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 boom. Zach Martinez is saying gloves or no gloves. This really comes down to personal preference. I like both and actually raced the whole of the Enduro World Series in Ireland without any gloves on. Jan Yalabi is saying he has some loose spokes and is asking how much pressure. You could use a spoke gauge, or you could actually just put it in the truing stand. And when you've got that wheel spinning true, that's when you know that the spokes are tightened up correctly. The next is from Trucker Stuart, and he's saying, Neil, if I made a fat downhill bike, would you ride it? Neil's not actually here at the moment. I'm going to answer this one for him though. Yes, of course he would. So you make that bike and we'll get Neil riding it. The next is from Rander A, and he's saying, will you guys be doing any slopestyle videos? Yeah, at some point in the near future we will be, but I can't promise any tricks. Neil can, however, backflip. Joe Reed is saying, where do I get a GMBN water bottle? Well, you can actually get these by entering the Caption Contest in the Dirt Shed show, so tune into that and leave your captions underneath it. Lonesome Let's Play, cracking name, is saying, what's better for commuting, cross-country or a full suspension bike? Cross-country bike with pumped up hard tyres, but if you do want having some good trails to get you to the office, then definitely ride that full suspension bike in. You'll probably look really cool and your colleagues will be envying you. It's time for Correct Me If I'm Wrong, and it's when you guys send clips of you out on the trails or riding in the street and you want a little bit of advice and some opinion on how to become better. The first is from Michael Henna, and he's actually sent in one where he's riding off a wall. Okay, so coming in, Michael, you're looking pretty good, but you could actually come in a lot faster, and that'll actually allow you to drop your hips back. You'll have a little bit more time in the air, and you'll land on that back wheel rather than landing on both, which is good. There's definitely nothing wrong with that, but if you land on the back, you can actually just use the back wheel to sort of propel you over the front, use your hips and really absorb the landing, so you've not got such a heavy landing when you actually build up onto doing bigger drops and bigger jumps, and this actually makes it a lot easier for you and your body doesn't have to compensate quite as much. Harvey Baxter has sent in this one of him jumping out on the trails. Let's have a look, Harvey, and see what's happening. Yep, coming into the jump, quite good speed. And see straight away, oh no, oh Harvey, oh I thought you'd had that one, Harvey, but not quite, almost. But I can see straight away that when you actually hit the lip of the jump, you've not got that bunny hop technique dialed. So you really want to work on that, go back to the basics. You can actually do this quite easily, just go out into the street, have a bit of practice, really think about lifting that front wheel up and then getting the hips, pulling it through to bring the back end up. And that's really going to work on your jumping technique. When you bring that onto the trails, you can actually think about bunny hopping when you're at the takeoff, using the whole body, pushing the front away from you. And that's really where you got it wrong in that one. You kind of just came up to the front, and when you were in midair, your weight was too far over the front, so the front wheel dropped, and when you landed, you just went onto a flat surface, so all that weight in the front wheel, and it just pitched you over the front, and that's what caused your crash. Hopefully that can help you and you become a better rider out on the trails. As ever, don't forget you can send any videos that you guys have of you out riding to ask@gmbn.com. Thanks so much guys for all your comments, your questions and also your video clips. Send them in and we'll try and get back to you next time. But for this week's edition, that's it. For more great videos on GMBN, why don't you click just up there for an epic ride I did at the Ireland Enduro World Series, or you could click down there and that's going to take you to a training playlist. And as ever, don't forget to subscribe right in the middle. It's absolutely free. And the best part, the very best part, is that you get a great video every single day of the week.